At times during this programme, some viewers may find the dialogue, which of necessity contains specific references, something you'll find disturbing and unsuitable for minors.
The streets of Birmingham are where I was born and raised, and I still live here now. It's my home, and I'm a Brummie through and through. Over the last 18 months, my life has changed, but I haven't let that change me. I'm Dee Kelly, and in this show, I'll be talking to real people about real issues that affect them. Today, we live in a society whereby many substances are controlled, whilst others are regulated. Coffee, tea, energy drinks. Alcohol, in all of its varieties, are all part of the fabric of this country. We happily accept that all of these things can do us harm, but it's generally accepted that a coffee before work does not mean you've fallen off the rails. Then, there are things that we're not allowed to do. Cocaine, heroin and many other drugs in all the different classes. The only grey area seems to be cigarettes. Rather interestingly, it was not that long ago that cigarettes were quite the thing.
How often does your job call you out of bed in the middle of the night? Well, if you were a doctor, it would be often. And generally, there isn't much time to spare.
Coffee, Doctor?
Oh, fine. Have a Camel with your coffee. Thanks. You know, this night work's kind of rough, isn't it? That's right. But a Camel's always a pleasure.
Yes, folks, the pleasing mildness of a Camel is just as enjoyable to a doctor as it is to you or me.
Just imagine that today, and that was only 65 years ago. Smoking is tolerated, but only just. But most importantly, for this show, it's legal. Rightly or wrongly, myself and many other people out there have built up a bit of a trust in the legal options. For example, with cigarettes, beer and wine. We know that it's regulated, and whilst these products won't make us live any longer, there are strict rules in place to make sure that the quality is right, and with proper use, no one's going to get into much trouble. Because it's legal. Over the last few years, though, a new trend has appeared. A new set of products that are legal. They appear to have similar effects to the illegal drugs that have been so fashionable throughout history. But they are legal, as in I can go to the shops and buy them at any point. So this week, I want to know, what is the deal with legal highs? So firstly, let's find out what legal highs are. I'm kind of confused really, because legal highs aren't a thing. It's just a phrase that's used for, say for example, something that someone wants to put into their body, whether they're going to smoke it or inhale it, but something maybe that they wouldn't normally do. Like, say for example, if a fire extinguisher goes off and someone decides, weirdly, that they want to inhale the steam from this fire extinguisher, they're not doing anything illegal, but obviously it's not regulated for human consumption. So what we're going to do now is have a look to see if we can find out why people feel the need or why they want to do such things.
I think mostly people who do want to use drugs either want the excitement of that or they want some kind of escape from reality. They're seeking out a mind-altering substance. So I guess they're mindful of getting into trouble with the police. And so if they think there's a way they can achieve that altered consciousness without getting into difficulties with the police, then it's going to be tempting.
Just the buzz in it, really.
Something that gives you a good feeling, but you don't have to be worried about actually taking it.
So you've got a group of young people that just go out, have a good time, take a legal high, are they being reckless? Are they being stupid?
Well, nah, to be honest, if it was like crack or heroin, say, then it wouldn't be legal, would it? It'd be illegal like crack and heroin is. So it's obviously there's somewhere down the line it's not that bad for you, really, is it? So if it was really that bad, it's like what was it, MCAT? That was legal, and then how many people died off it, and they made it illegal. So clearly there's not that much people dying off legal highs for them to make it illegal, if you know what I mean.
So there you have it. A group of young people go out, take a legal high. They're not doing illegal drugs, there's nothing wrong with it. What's wrong with that? There's many legal highs out there, so which one does this group of people take?
It's put in what they call a cracker. It's actually used for whipped cream, and it's a little gas canister about that big. You put it into it goes into a balloon, and then you just like blow the balloon in and out for about 5 seconds.
5 seconds,
yeah, and then it just gives you this like.
It's like the best way I describe it is your body leaves. Look, your brain leaves your body for like a few seconds,
and then it comes back to it. It makes you want to dance. Like if you're listening to music, it could be, I don't know, some rock or 70s, whatever the music is, it just makes you want to move. But then you slowly, after 10 seconds, you slowly feel it coming off you, and it's like you're looking around to see who's watching me dancing. But yeah, it's all right, some good stuff.
So some people think this is okay because this particular type of legal high is used in everyday things. Does that really make it all right?
Because, well, if
hospitals wouldn't give it to pregnant mothers if they're really
at the risk of
harm the mother as well as
and the baby, yeah. If it's at risk of say killing the baby or killing the mother, they won't give it to the mother. So if it's not going to kill them, it's not going to kill us. So we might as well have a go with it.
Okay, I for one, yes, did have plenty of gas and air when I was having both my children. But I think the difference is I had my children in a controlled environment, not at home or in the middle of a nightclub dance floor. The fun part of legal highs aside, some people have had some very varied effects to taking legal highs.
But actually the reality is that it's often, you know, a really dangerous experience, and people can have horrible psychotic experiences which leave them again with mental health problems.
I'm 22 years of age, and I did laughing gas 2 years ago in Zante, and it put me in hospital for about 3 days after doing it.
So was that the first time you'd ever tried it?
Yeah, it was the first time I ever heard of it, to be honest.
Yeah. What made you, obviously I'm presuming because you were in Zante, you were on holiday with your mates and things like that.
Yeah.
What made you decide to give it a go?
Well, the main thing is that they were selling it on the street. So obviously you assume, oh, it must be alright if they're selling it on the street, it can't be, you know, it can't be bad for you. So we all did it, but it was only me that actually affected.
Right, so can you tell me in what form was it in that you sort of bought it?
They were walking around with the gas canisters, and the balloons. Literally inflated them there and then. I think it was like €2 or something, and then literally inhaled it from there. Obviously we'd been drinking as well beforehand, but it sort of sobered me up when I did it because it just made me feel horrible. I felt like my head was going to explode, to be honest. And then I didn't really remember doing anything the rest of the night. I didn't feel like out of breath or anything, but the next day it was horrible. I kept feeling like I was going to pass out. I kept feeling really lightheaded, and my chest was just that tight. And it did worry me because I don't smoke either, so I thought it's got to have been the laughing gas. And to be honest, I wouldn't have gone to the hospital that day unless my friends would have took me.
So that was like the very first time that you'd ever tried it?
Yeah, first and last.
You didn't kind of feel the high or the buzz from it?
No, it just made me feel horrible, to be honest.
So your friends took you to hospital. This presumably was while you were still abroad?
Yeah.
What did they say, or what happened?
Originally, I went to like the local doctor, and she didn't really understand how it could have happened. She said she'd never heard of it before. I told her what I'd done. She said okay. So I went for an X-ray then up at the main hospital, and I brought it back to her, and she was just that gobsmacked. She was like, "This is really bad." And obviously I started getting panicky then, but she put me on like just on an oxygen mask and a drip, and all day really for the rest of the day. And she said, if you feel bad, come back. I felt a bit better, and I went off, blah blah blah, and I went out on the night, and then I came back the next day because it wasn't going. I just felt my chest felt that tight, and my head. I kept feeling like I was just going to pass out, like get really all, do you know what I mean, all disorientated. And she said that there was, like, I think it was blocking like 70% of oxygen getting to my brain.
And that was just from like one balloon?
That was one balloon. And I know people that work out there and they're going on holidays, and they do hundreds and hundreds, and it can just take that one balloon.
Well, so there you have it. I've had laughing gas, obviously in a controlled environment while having the children. We've got the young guys who have it recreationally, out clubbing, have a good time. And then we've got young Jim who took it first time, ended up in hospital. I think that really changes things. I think we've only just really started scratching the surface of legal highs. So coming up after the break, we're going to delve much deeper.
At times during this programme, some viewers may find the dialogue, which of necessity contains specific references, something you'll find disturbing and unsuitable for minors.
Welcome back to D. Kelly Asks. This week's subject, legal highs. Before the break, we spoke to various young people who've got different experiences of taking legal highs. Unfortunately, Jim's wasn't very positive. But now we're going to look at the darker side of legal highs.
We didn't know what it was he died from. He was just been found on the bathroom floor, and that period of time was awful because I didn't know if he'd been murdered, if it was carbon monoxide poisoning, if he'd tripped and banged his head. We didn't have a clue what it was that he'd died from. So we then had to go over to France, obviously a week later. We had to go over and fetch all his belongings and everything, and that's when they told us that it was laughing gas. So then I spoke to Georgie and Nick, who'd gone over with him, and they'd said, yeah, we knew he was doing it. We knew he was doing laughing gas, but who would have thought it was dangerous? He did it on holiday, when he went on holiday with his mates the year before. That's where they'd all done it first. And Jordan had come home and sort of obviously carried on doing it. Now, as a chef, it's used in a kitchen. It's used for whipping cream in a kitchen. And you have like a little machine that pierces the canisters, and then you put the nitrous oxide into the cream. Jordan had obviously discovered this was the same as the laughing gas they were selling on holiday, and he'd got the canister because he used it at work. So he'd taken it home to his flat. It was his, he'd bought it, he'd taken it home to his flat, and he was using the canisters at home into the balloon and inhaling it. Now, he'd said to his friends he really liked the feeling that it gave him, but it didn't last long enough. Yeah, and it wasn't, like I say, we went over, and so then we phoned all the friends and said it was laughing gas, and everybody was just like, what? You can't die from laughing gas? We're like, well, yeah, you can.
See, I suppose it's one of them, isn't it? It's kind of, I mean, presumably that was the first time you'd ever found out that he'd taken this laughing gas.
Yeah.
But obviously, from his friend's point of view, they used to do it when they were going out clubbing or...
I mean, if I had have known that he'd been taking it, I don't think I'd have been worried, because it's legal. You can just buy it. I'd have probably thought he was a bit daft. Why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
But I don't think I'd have been that concerned. I'd have told him off and told him he was silly, probably, but... yeah, it's just legal. Everybody can buy it. It's easily... And it's not to be confused with helium, which people do confuse it with. So it's not the party balloons that you take and it makes your voice squeak. This is the stuff that they use in Fast and Furious to put the NOS in the cars. And you think, now I know all about it. I think, if that makes the car do what it does on Fast and Furious, what's that doing to your lungs when you inhale it?
It's a devastating story. No parent in my eyes should ever have to bury a child. Never mind burying a child through taking something that's seen as legal. Laughing gas obviously is not the only legal high that's available out there. In the media, every week now, we hear and see of more people dying from taking legal highs. There's a huge variety of legal highs out there that can be bought online or in head shops. So the variety of legal highs is massive, but there has been a change in the products also. More often today, the manufacturers are creating legal alternatives to the illicit drugs. These are designed with only one use in mind. Despite the mandatory labelling that states not for human consumption, popular brands such as Spice, Pandora and Pandora Reborn have hit the headlines with many users showing symptoms often only seen in seasoned crack users and others losing their lives. It feels like this is becoming a serious problem. Are there any other reasons why people would want to take legal highs?
This is how it started. On a Saturday night, we was all having a drink and our mate said, let's get some balloons. And within 20 seconds, we'd put it in Google, we already had someone on the way. That's how easy they are to get it. So you can just get them literally off Google like that. And then the next day, obviously, because we enjoyed it so much, the next day we was all talking about how good night it was. And then I said, oh, maybe we should do it next weekend. So then I went on to Gumtree and I put it into Gumtree and I met a lad that's pretty local to where I am now. And he does them for quite a discounted price as well. So it's like 2 in 1 stones really, because he's only around the corner. So,
should we at this moment in time be worried that maybe legal highs are a gateway to some such stronger drugs?
Because all the other legal highs are like the legal towards coke or the legal towards weed, and I don't smoke weed, don't do no other drug, so I wouldn't, I don't know what I'm saying, I don't know.
I've never thought about trying any.
I've heard bad things on the coke and the black mamba they call it. I've heard bad things.
About bad trips from them, so that's the reasons for.
Definitely wouldn't do that.
So obviously we've got the fact that legal highs are legal. They're not illegal. So does this mean that as a normal person we could take them into pubs, we can take them into clubs, we can take them on the street?
Nightclubs and bars, provide everything that a customer needs, okay, entertainment-wise. Alcohol, soft drinks, music, dancing, entertainment. So you don't need to bring anything with you and it wouldn't be tolerated in any bar or club.
I work in the medical world, so legal highs have caused me a massive issue over the last few months.
Really?
Yeah.
Obviously, the word legal makes you think that they are okay.
They've just not been tested enough to be legalised yet.
You can't make them illegal if you don't know what they are.
Is that kind of your thoughts about it? On the whole, we've got nothing but conflicting answers. So this legal highs definitely isn't just a black and white subject.
So one thing I always think gets overlooked a little bit, it sounds like a bit of a loose point, but some people are just morons. You can illegalise everything as much as you like, but I mean, all the drugs that are illegal now, how many people still die from those?
Yeah. And I think the more you kind of try to decriminalise something and the more you tell people it's bad, the more people are going to want to try and do it.
There's two ways about it. People are like,
people are doing things that they're not supposed to be doing.
I mean,
people I've got all these issues, and admittedly people have a lot of issues they need a lot of help with and stuff, but ultimately drugs are always going to be a choice.
Yeah.
You always have to choose to take a drug.
I mean, you illegalise the legal highs, all you'll do is create an illicit market for them. They're not going to go anywhere, they're just going to come off the shelves and on the streets somewhere else.
As a parent, I do worry. My daughter will be 18 in a couple of weeks and she'll be going out with her friends and this, that and the other. I hope that I have educated them enough against the illegal drugs, but where do you start advising them against taking legal highs?
Those hundreds and hundreds of others are very lucky, and the parents of those children are very lucky that they've still got their children. I used to believe that the day you're born, your card's marked for the day you die. I don't know if I believe that anymore, or if just tragic. If Jordan had known about the dangers of nitrous oxide, would he still be here today? I don't know. And to me, that's what this is about. That's what's important, to educate people so that they know the dangers and then they have a choice. If they still choose to take it, then that's up to them. Jordan wasn't aware of the dangers. He took it thinking it was okay. He took it thinking it was legal. It's cheap to buy. They're selling it on the street, so it must be fine. You don't sell things on the streets that's going to harm you. So, you know, it must be fine. And that, you know, that's really hard, that if somebody else had spoken out and said how dangerous it was, he might still be here today.
People tend to think it's just a safer way to go than taking the usual illegal drugs, but that's really misleading. So actually one of my patients said to me once, it's not legal drugs, they are actually fatal drugs. You know, they really have a catastrophic effect on the mind and body. And the frightening bit is that because nobody knows what's in the drugs, that changes so often, that if you are taken for treatment to an A&E unit, they won't know how to antidote it, which they would if it was, say, heroin or speed or something like that. If people just get a temporary effect from a drug, that's not going to tip them into a mental health situation. But if somebody's vulnerable anyway, they then have a catastrophic experience on a legal high, it can lead to really serious long-term mental health problems.
So there you have it, legal highs. Personally, I'm still confused. There just doesn't seem to have been any research done around it. Some people have good times, and unfortunately some people have died. It seems to me like it's a personal choice. Do the risks outweigh the benefits? Personally, for me it's a no. If you or someone you know have been affected by the subject matter in this programme, you can go to the NHS website or talk to Frank. Details of this and other support charities will be available on our website.